Unmuting, and I am
Recording in progress.
Okay. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And we will start with a roll call. McKee here. Schultz.
Here.
Bodema is on his way. Behrenkamp.
Here.
Nichols.
Here.
Well, if you'd like to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, agenda approval. Any changes, additions, subtractions from staff?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We do have two items at the dais for council and in the book that we have a resolution for a typo change in the resolution for Resolution 2022-134, which just allows for 50,000 or 50 million in debt instead of 40 to be in alignment with our notice that we had put. And then I do have a draft conditional offer of employment for our preferred applicant for the Administrative Services Director position.
Perfect. Anything from council? I do have one request from John to move the Trailhaven bridge replacement discussion towards the end, so I guess we'll tentatively put it last on the agenda and see if he can make it here in time, because this is the best shot. But other than that, I think we're good. So I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Commission representatives, we have John Horn here for planning and potentially Val on for parks and trails, or maybe we'll be later. There's not a ton of parks and trails, so not the end of the world. Open forum.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Anyone joining us in the audience can come to the podium, state your name and address. If you're joining us virtually, you can press *9 if you're joining us on a telephone, or if you're joining us via a tablet or other electronic device, you can click reactions and click raise your hand. Mayor and Council, at this time, no one is raising their hand. We do have about 8 people joining us, 8 participants, and a few of them are staff members.
Okay, sounds good. Then we'll move right on to consent agenda, item 7, consisting of 7A through 7C. Does anyone want to pull anything?
Can I pull 7B, please?
Yep. Nothing else, then I will entertain a motion to approve consent agenda items 7A and 7C.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, 7B, Ellen?
So I understand there was a change to one portion of the building for the height, and that we added a story. I cannot recall, did we have an ordinance on building height or story heights in the city?
So we do have both Nicholas from Landform joining us as well as Natalie on the line. There are requirements for the Southeast District in this area, but this was a plat and not a PUD. So I wonder if either Nicholas or maybe Natalie can speak to the height requirements.
And the reason I bring it up is because it was like going to be our first 4-story building within the city, right? And the initial plans was the 4th story was going to be further in off 116 away from Linear Park. And so now this portion moves closer to Linear Park. So that's why I feel that I just want to have a little bit more discussion around it. Get a better understanding.
Could we pull up drawings of the
Or
changes?
Just a moment, and then
Natalie
Natalie
is
is on, available if you have had a specific question. Are you just curious about the height requirements in particular, or?
Yeah, the height and the height requirements in this, did we have a story limitation in the city?
We, Mr. Mayor, Councilor Schultz, the height limit is per district, and we do not have a height limit identified in the downtown mixed-use district. The idea is that we wanted taller buildings in that area, or we wanted to allow for taller buildings in that area. And then when we get into our less dense districts, such as residential single-family homes, they'll have a 35-foot height limit.
Okay. All right, I just remember we had a lot of discussion around it when it first came in. And actually, when it first came in, there was like multiple buildings, right? They weren't all connected, and this looks like one connected building with wings. So, it's this piece that's coming out this way, right? That's getting an extra story?
This, what,
Or is it
the
this other
applicant
one?
happens to,
if you-
happens to be here,
Yeah,
if you'd like to
be great.
have them address.
Members of the council, Calvin Chungaski, CFO for St. Terese. So the story that grew from 3 to 4 is this structure right here. The rest of the building, it always has been a contiguous building, but this story has always been 4 stories, and then it ramped down to 3 stories over here. We simply, the amendment was to bring this story up to 4 stories to match same profile on the east side.
Okay.
So it's a partial, would have been a partial increase in building height to match the same building height that was in the original application.
Okay, and then the wing that jets straight to the west, that's 2 stories?
This is all 2 stories, yeah.
Okay.
It remains 2 stories, correct.
Okay.
I get what you're saying though, especially if that was the 4-story there, getting that close to the road, the
Yeah.
park, yeah.
Okay. Thanks for the
And then-
clarification.
I'm glad you pulled this, the one to the southwest corner, that's still a ghost plat, if I remember it. The other corner,
This
to the
is
left, yep.
recorded.
That's still
Phase
ghost,
2.
or is that a plan now too?
I believe that is future.
Future development, yep.
expansion.
Nope, I see it now, thank you. Good catch, Alan.
Only other significant change I noticed was just with the roof line changing in certain areas. But you and I talked about that and how it
Yeah.
meets code.
Yep, and
Either way,
and
so.
the site plan really does meet code with the fact that we don't have the height requirements and in general, different roof lines, we don't have, it meets all other architectural standards, I believe. Natalie or Nicholas, feel free to chime in if I'm misstating that, but our understanding is that it does meet code for all of those
Yeah.
elements.
So, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I had some audio issues there. So with the minor site plan and also with the major site plan, as long as it meets the ordinance standards, it must be approved. So right now, what they're proposing is a minor site plan and it meets all of the zoning ordinance. So it would just be administratively approved. So this is really just informational, but that's where we're at.
Thanks.
I'm fine with the explanation.
Okay.
I have no other questions, if anyone else doesn't. I'll make a motion to approve 7B.
Perfect. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. No planning business, for once. We'll take it.
That's a little bit of planning business, but
Yeah.
because it was, more informational.
Yep. So we'll go on to unfinished business. We have 3 public hearings first, so we'll, maybe let's do those individually, then we will have a public comment opportunity on 9E. And if anyone hops on late and wants to speak on 9D as well, that's fine. We'll probably do another one just before it.
Perfect.
So we'll go into 9A, which is a public hearing for delinquent fees.
Just a moment. So pull up Nikki's right here, presentation here.
The second slide is fine.
Okay, then go ahead and have,
Do you
we'll,
want to change it? Oh, yeah, great. Perfect. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The city sends out different bills for different city services throughout the year. And if people do not pay, we start the special assessment process in September with the late bill notice and October with a special assessment notice. And then notices are published in the paper on October 20th and 27th. This year, we have assessments for water and sewer utility services and recycling services. The listing for recycling is currently $3,719.49, and for water and sewer utility service, it's $1,635. There has been payments since since the packet was sent out last week, so the amount is slightly decreased. People will have until November 15th to make payment per state statute. So the amount to be certified can decrease until November 15th. Since payment can come in until November 15th, the resolution does allow for staff to make edits if needed. And with that, we will ask the council to open it to a public hearing, and then so that the public can make any comments, and then to close the public hearing and adopt the resolution as presented to certify the assessment rolls.
All right. Any questions for staff on that?
I think I know, but I'm going to ask, why does it vary from $63.05 down to $23.24?
So it varies a bit because of the timing of when, if they came in mid-year.
Got it.
and-
Potentially, and that's the amount that the Republic Services had charged, and that's $10 more on top of what Republic Services has charged due to penalty.
Okay,
And then some of the balances could be a small carry forward from year prior because we only certify a certain amount.
thank you.
Can I ask about a property that's listed on the water and sewer?
Sure.
Sure.
What, the last one listed there, that address has water and sewer utilities, that it would include a charge? Or am I missing something here?
That's a great
It's
question.
outside of our water and sewer.
Yeah. We could look, I'm wondering if that was a typo in the address, but there is that PID. Give me just a moment, I can take a look.
Okay.
Yeah, I would think with that PID, it's not. Actually, that address.
I'm guessing that the address got
Yeah.
inadvertently.
Good catch.
So we will make sure that the correct, the any,
So we'll make sure that it's correct, but we did charge them and nobody came forward saying that that it was incorrect at this moment. And we have sent out, we actually sent out 3 notices to that address already.
To the address?
Yep.
Like,
Well,
okay.
if the address is correct, they don't have water and sewer.
Right.
So if it's an
we'd
error,
want to make
apologies
sure
to the
that,
people that
we'd
live
want
in
to
that
make
address.
sure.
And then we'd want to
that's
make
the-
sure we send something to the correct address if that's wrong.
Yeah,
They
that's-
probably
Which one were you talking now?
Okay, I think that is the wrong
Jackie Lane.
address.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it's the wrong address because that would
Given the
not.
PID, it has to.
Yes, it is not. It was 19429 Meadow Root Court.
Okay.
I don't have that.
So
I
Ellen, you were right.
apologize. So I just didn't change the service address because that is from the
Oh, there
recycling
it is.
listing. But the PID is correct.
Okay.
Do we think we've sent
So we've been
communication to
sending
them?
the correct, we
Yep,
should be
so
sending
I
the
just
correct.
didn't update the service address on this listing,
Okay.
but the PID
Okay.
is correct.
Gotcha.
Okay, well, apologies to
So
the
I
people that live at that
apologize.
address. That they're,
We'll verify that they got the correct notice before
Okay,
we
perfect.
finalize it.
thank you.
Sounds good. Okay, if there's nothing else, I will go ahead and open the public hearing.
Perfect, thank you. Mayor and council, anyone joining us virtually or in the audience who'd like to speak at the public hearing, please state your name and address if you're in the audience at the podium, and feel free to speak. Anyone joining us virtually can press *9 if they're on a phone, or if they are on an electronic device, click reactions and raise your hand. Mayor and council, at this time, no one is raising their hand.
I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, then I will entertain a motion to approve resolution 2022-132 and 2022-133 certifying delinquent fees to Hennepin County.
So moved.
Second.
Perfect. Any further discussion?
With the address.
With the
With the-
address
yep.
modification,
Yep.
I would note, well, we verified the notices did have the correct address, so it's just
Perfect.
a
Okay.
a typo in the packet.
Thank you.
We had a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. On to 9B, another public hearing for the conduit bond sale for St. Therese.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I don't have a formal presentation for this, but we do have a resolution in the packet. We did approve the sale of, or the issuance of conduit financing bonds, and we do have bond counsel here, but really today we need to hold a public hearing and then adopt the resolution in the packet. And I just note that updated amount change to the not to exceed $50 million for that issuance.
Sense? Any questions on that? Okay, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing.
Anyone joining us virtually or in the audience can speak now. If anyone joining us virtually can press *9 or click reactions and raise your hand. Mayor and council, no one is raising their hand virtually, and anyone in the audience can come and speak at the podium.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, then I will entertain a motion to adopt resolution, or approve resolution 2022-134. And that is the entirety of it, 134.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
One more public hearing.
How close is John? Do we have to start talking about it?
Maybe.
Well, he said, he was gonna try to be here, but if he
Yep.
couldn't, I'm going to text him if we're, depending on
Okay.
where we're
The
at.
only time ever maybe being an hour late would mean you missed the entire meeting. For us.
Let's go.
It's very-
Sounds like a
That has
challenge.
not happened in quite some time.
You're wasting time. Let's go.
Anyone joining us virtually, we've opened the public hearing, can.
I don't know if I did I?
Oh.
But I will.
Oh,
I'll open the
okay.
public hearing
If
on
you
and see.
would like to, sorry.
No problem.
I apologize. On 9C, if anyone would like to speak on the host approval for conduit bonds for $10 million through the city of Medina, we're approving host approval tonight. Anyone wanting to speak on that topic can press *9 or click reactions and raise your hand, or come to the podium. And Mayor and council, no one is raising their hand in this time.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Perfect. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Does someone want to make a motion, just to mix it up a bit?
Chair, I'll make the motion to accept resolution 2022-135.
Perfect.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Alrighty. Thank you, guys. That's record. You're never gonna get in and out of here in 18 minutes again.
It's not that we didn't look at it, we've spent
Yes.
Much
Seen it
time.
many times.
You've done very well educating me to not be so paranoid, so, thank you.
We're all that high.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Okay, so we're skipping 9D for the time being, and we will have a public comment opportunity now for item 9E, which is Administrative Services Director appointment.
Perfect, thank you, Mayor and council. Anyone joining us virtually who'd like to speak on item 9E, the Administrative Services Director appointment, can come to the podium or state your name and address. If you're joining us virtually, press *9 or click reactions and raise your hand. Mayor and council, at this time, no one's no one's raising their hand.
Fair enough.
You're
And let's
comfortable.
go right into 9E.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. On May 12th, staff was authorized to fill the Administrative Services Director appointment due to my transition into my current role here. Staff conducted initial interviews the week of October 10th, and we did second round interviews on October 25th. And we have a preferred candidate in front of you. I do have a copy of a draft employment offer that we'd like to move forward with our preferred candidate. Her name is Kathy Hughes. She's been working in local government for a little over 30 years, working primarily with police in the sheriff's office and the dispatch and things like that, but has a lot of great leadership experience, and we're very excited in running departments at those locations. So we're excited to have her on board. We do have to we're in the process of completing the background check, but as long as that moves forward, we'd like to move forward with a conditional offer today and get her on board.
Any questions on it? Dean?
What city is she from?
So she's.
If I can ask that.
Yep, so employment information and qualification, that
I know.
type of thing is public. So the city of Minneapolis is in the dispatch area, and then Hennepin County for the sheriff's office in the past.
No, where is she, where does she reside, if I can
Oh.
ask that? I don't need
That
an
we would
address.
not be able to,
Okay.
You want
to
a blood
provide
test,
that.
Oh, no, I
Public
just,
data.
somebody like
I
this,
just-
love to see them find a home in our little community, so. Cool, thank you.
Not that that's a condition of
And it
employment.
can be condition of
I'm
employment.
just asking.
Might be something she's interested in.
Yeah.
But certainly, we're always open to
Exactly.
people residing in the area.
I will say she has a ton of experience.
I think,
that are-
what a great find.
Yeah.
We're very excited, Matt, Kevin, and I all are very excited about having her join the team, so.
And it'll be good to get this position finally backfilled. It's-
Yes.
Probably went a little too long without it.
A little bit, so.
But I'm glad
we're
we found
excited
someone.
about it.
Perfect. Well, I will entertain a motion to authorize staff to extend an employment offer to the preferred candidate for the Administrative Services Director position, subject to final approval by the city administrator and mayor.
I so move.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Congratulations,
Yeah.
everyone.
I think it'll be a good hire. On to 10, new business. We have another public comment opportunity if anyone is
We do
feeling
still
up to
have
it.
a few people joining us virtually.
Okay.
So anyone joining us virtually can press *9 or click reactions and raise your hand if you'd like to be recognized for the public comment period for new business. Mayor and council, no one's raising their hand at this time, and no one's stepped to the podium.
10A.
Perfect.
Go right to it.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We do have in front of you today a request for the 70% design services for City Park. Jessica is not able to join us today, but is available via phone should we need her. But really today is an opportunity for us to look at moving forward that design to get it more dialed in so we could go out and begin the process for bids later on in the year next year. So this is just the first step in working with Kevin. We have kind of refined the next several months of looking at what the schedule might look like. Because when you get to this type of project, you're gonna likely need soil borings and things like that as we're talking about roads and things like that. So we're refining the project, but would like to move forward with getting that 70% design to get us at least, whether or not we move forward with the project this year or at another point, this will be good, helpful information.
Makes sense? Any questions?
I don't have any questions. I think it makes sense to move forward with the design process. I did want to raise an item that I brought up at the Parks and Trails Commission meeting when we talked about the same question. There are some items that are sort of ancillary items for a park that we're looking at doing for City Park, but are not in Wildflower and certainly aren't in the Tavera area park yet. And I'm wondering if we want to include additional benches, bike racks, enclosures for the trash cans, things like that. We might get a better price if we're getting a slightly higher quantity to cover multiple parks versus doing those as separate projects later. And beyond that, maybe it makes sense also to look at play equipment for the Tavera Park at the same time, just because, again, you could get potentially some volume discount based on the size of the project that would make it cheaper overall than doing that park separately later.
Yeah, for sure.
It's definitely something we can.
And that would be probably a decision at a later point. Either way, we'd be getting the 78% design, but I think those are good things to bring up, to think about. Can't hurt.
Volume pricing is always a good thing to take advantage of if you can.
Definitely.
Can't hurt. Okay.
And I'm guessing everybody's thought of this, the soil borings, those kind of things with the area it's at and such. I don't want any surprises as far as if we go 20 feet, if we could have went 30 feet to see what was truly underneath that.
I think we'll
I'm
certainly.
overly cautious on
Talking about.
the preparation.
If we're talking about the road and things like, and the structures, we'll definitely need to do that. We'd be working with whichever design engineering firm we could go, we'll be getting quotes from, but certainly something that we could bring up at least with.
Yeah, y'all, this is for us, and I don't want to see any backstepping and those kind of things as we've seen from other happenings around, so. And that's a big one. I mean, it's along the creek and everything else, and could be some ugly dirt down there. That's it.
Would this stage of design also involve more discussion with the park district and their trail plan? Or would that be
Great
later?
question. I think we would probably want to involve them in it. I don't, as we're just getting the proposals together to get to the 70%, that would be probably likely something we'd want to potentially include in the RFP. So I can ask Jessica where that might be, or if that will be in the final design portion.
Cool.
We'd want it, no matter what, we want to plan, as part of the route master, we've talked about how that might go through, but it might not be in the 70, it might be in the final. So I can get an answer to that question.
I think specifically, if we are going to include that, they had talked about putting in sort of a bike maintenance station at their cost, because it is a regional trail running through the park. Knowing where that would go might impact the design. And there's also been interest in seeing if they would do sort of a nature trail around that western edge where there's still some natural space. Knowing if that's feasible, and maybe the bike trail being, if that would be the bike trail, you could put the bike maintenance station in that area, versus potentially more on the east side where it might be more prone to non-bikers interfering with it.
Sure.
Yeah, we could touch base with them. Good feedback. Anything else? Okay, then do we need a motion on that, or just consensus?
If we could get a motion, that'd be great, because then we can go out.
I will entertain a motion to direct staff to proceed with RFPs for 70% design for City Park.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Sounds good. On to 10, and welcome, by the way.
I'm here.
Yeah,
You're stuck in.
we made it. It worked.
Yeah, snuck.
Yeah,
Now that we
you made
have
good
John,
time.
we should mention, we could put a bus stop at City Park.
Yeah, the bus stop,
We could have two.
follow up on the bus stop. Wait, is that 11D?
If you want to provide
if
some
you wanna add it.
feedback, I didn't include it after our discussion.
Yeah.
So,
It seems to be maybe not the best idea in the world. Honestly, but
Fair enough.
You didn't like my.
I like the creativity.
I liked all of it. I just thought of like potential things that could go wrong.
Gotcha.
Usually I do things and then think of the repercussions later, but we didn't do anything yet, so. Yeah,
Makes sense.
we don't need to waste more time on that topic, but yeah, I think
We could put it in the design, though. It could be
Could.
more formal.
yeah, but then Yeah.
That'd
You run
probably
into
be past
problems
70%.
when you do something formal. Like that might bring unwanted expectations.
Was the 70% designed for the full park remaster, or just the
believe that-
first phase?
Just for the first phase.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay, so next we have, where are we on the agenda? I lost my place.
10B.
10B,
Just a
thank
real
you.
Quick check-in. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just wanted to check in as we're getting ready for planning 2023 already. It is coming quicker than always comes quicker than you anticipate, but just wanted to check in to see if we wanted to continue moving forward with our previous consultant that we've used, or if we want to go out for RFP. Certainly is with under the threshold generally of dollars, and it's professional services. So if it's something that we feel strongly about moving forward with one candidate that we, or one professional service that we have, we can certainly do that. Or we could go out for RFP.
Didn't we go out for RFP last year?
We did.
With one, and we got one other?
Yes.
Proposal.
And there was a pretty, it was almost double the amount.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Cost. I could look at the actual, or we could review the packet.
That sounds
Wanted
about
to
right, though.
Just clarify whether or not that's something we wanted to go out with, or if should bring back a proposal from.
Gotcha. Any preference?
Would Phil have increased his prices substantially from last year?
I could get before we finalize anything, I can get a quote. I just wanted to make sure if you want me to start getting additional quotes that I get on that. December feels like it's gonna be here any day. And it will be.
Good.
I'm satisfied with what we've been doing.
Personally, I don't really want to spend the time looking at our motto and our,
Yeah, we could probably cut
all
some of
that design stuff, you know, and just focus on what we want to look at for goals.
Yeah.
And whether we need Phil for that or not, I don't know. But we've all gone through that process several times now, so I would think we could do it with staff, to be honest with you, if we wanted to go down that route and just have an extended work session.
I agree. There's definitely stuff we could cut out. Maybe if we're at least comfortable with just going out to see what Phil's price is, then we could make the decision on whether or not to do it just internally or with Phil based on that.
We had a pretty long list of to-dos, didn't we?
Yeah.
We could just work off of.
From staff perspective, it gives us a chance to be part of those discussions if we're not facilitating. It gives them and can be a bit more a part of the discussion, but certainly it's something that we could do. Did some facilitation training this past year, so.
How much from our list did we not accomplish this year that we could potentially just carry over and then add to? Seems like,
We've been
to
making
Dean's point, we had
progress
a
on
very large list.
making progress. There are a couple, some
Some
of
things
the
are
code,
completed,
some
but
of the
they're in
code updates we're still definitely working on, but some of the other items, like the stormwater fee was one of the things that we had talked about implementing, and we've started a facility subcommittee, and so we've definitely made progress on some of those goals.
How about this? If we get a price from Phil and also direct staff to just bring our goals and maybe an updated list of where we are with them, and then we can decide at that point if it's worth
Good
setting up
point.
a meeting or just doing it on our own.
How much was Phil last year?
Less than $3,000.
Yeah, I want to say like 2,000 or 2,500 or
Yeah, I think
something.
it was 2,500. I don't recall off the top of my head.
So I do goal setting as part of my but part of my job. We all probably do goal setting as part of our jobs. And I think that if we did a slimmed down version of, we could knock out goals in 4 hours if the 7 of us sat and talked about it. I don't know if we need I don't know if we need a professional facilitator of conversation to sit down and figure out what our goals are gonna be. I think we're past that.
Could be.
And I wouldn't say that, Jess, you need to own it or you wouldn't be a part of that conversation. But it wouldn't take much for all of us if we came prepared to, with a list of the goals from last year, what we didn't accomplish, to write down our top 6, all talk about them, vote on them, and then
Add whatever.
be done with it. I don't know if we need to pay $2,000 for that.
Yeah.
Seems like a decent, like, I'd do it for $2,000 if someone asked me to. That seems like a silly spend of
I'll
money.
do it for 19.
No, I'm saying
I'll
if
get you
somebody,
more.
it's not that hard. I don't think it's that hard.
I think we can get it done.
I think that's fine. The only advantage that you get from having an external facilitator is there's more of a unbiased handler to make sure everybody gets heard. Staff can do that if staff feels like they can stand up to the noisy council.
I think it does help that it's a returning council, and so there's a lot that we're just gonna be
Yep.
taking from before and maybe adding to or tweaking a bit, but not necessarily going from the ground up.
We can have a time limit.
Somebody run an egg timer and,
I don't know.
yeah.
If it wasn't $2,000 or $3,000, I
So
would,
should we ask him what the price is, and
Yeah.
maybe
it's gonna
watching
be
this,
$2,000 or $3,000.
maybe watching this
Just
video?
tell them
it
we're
won't be.
cost sensitive and see what he says.
Yeah, I can at least get a cost and see what, if we're talking about a slimmed down version, what does that
Yeah.
look like?
That works for me, and then we can decide if we want to just do it on our own based on that, or if it's really cheap.
And I think if we do it on our own too, I think Jessica's point, we should have staff heads involved as well.
Yep.
Yep,
For sure.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Does that work for direction?
yep, that's great
Perfect.
direction. Just wanted to get some,
Sounds good.
just get some feedback, trying to plan already.
Perfect. Okay.
Recommendation, unneeded?
What's that?
You don't need a recommendation?
I think we just needed
Just
some
in-
direction.
By consensus, yeah.
Yeah, by consensus, just to bring
Yeah.
back something. That's not, good direction.
11A, performance report.
Perfect.
Mayor and Council, Finance Department would like to give the council an update on how the city is doing with the 2022 general fund budget. Currently, we are at a surplus. We are anticipating a surplus of $354,000 with the 2022 financials. The major factor due to the surplus is due to budgeted staff start delays and vacant positions that were unfilled, such as the administrative services director and then police officer, and then public works maintenance worker. So the information in front of you today is unaudited. Within these next few months, we will start the audit budget and bring back to you another update as we get closer to end of the year.
Perfect.
That's all.
Any questions on it? Did a better job than the state did, within 9 billion, so.
I do have a question. We had a tough pill to swallow with our current budget. Is there any way that we can use this money and not increase the levy as much as we did over last year?
Well, we haven't set our
Well, we haven't
final.
said.
Yeah, I know we haven't. That's what, I guess it's a ask. I would,
I think the biggest concern
Yeah.
would be, what is a one-time,
Is, since it's
Amount
one-time
versus-
funds, that you're continuing to have, then, with some of the decreases that we didn't do to, that are some of the planned things that, that we didn't include in the budget, that it'd just be even more the next year that we would have to, potentially increase the levy by.
And then the staff is planning on eventually not bonding for equipment certificates in the future. So the surplus would be transferred to like a long-range planning fund, for example, and then to any other funds that council sees fit, that the surplus funds would need to be transferred to.
It would be a good opportunity to avoid incurring higher interest rate bond expenses too, especially if rates are likely to decrease. If we can offset some of the bonding we were going to do in 2023 with some of this funding, that might be a better investment.
But to that point, I mean, I think we have between now and when we set the final, if you can come up with something creative that works, something we can certainly look at.
I mean, we could have the immediate impact of not bonding for as much at high interest rates if we just apply it to next year's budget and don't apply for it. I don't like, so if as a tax representative of the taxpayers, if we say, taxpayers, our budget for the city of Corcoran is $1 million. This is what we're gonna do with that $1 million. And they say, okay, good, we'll send you the $1 million. They know what we're supposed to do with it. And then if we have a surplus, say, well, actually, we're gonna take what we did what we said we were gonna do with less money, and now we're gonna have a different use for it that we never ran by you through the budgetary process. Like, if you present a budget as a public official and you say we're gonna do these specific things, and the money you collect is actually higher, I think you have an obligation to the taxpayers to not do anything different than what you said in the last budget cycle that you were gonna do. So if we applied it to a long-term planning fund, we didn't say in the budgetary process that we were gonna put money towards a long-term planning fund. And so it's like, I have an issue of not vetting that through the normal budgetary process. Without, we said we'd do this with this amount of money. We did it. We have extra money. I think, my opinion would be, we use it to offset next year's budget, some of the costs involved, because we never talked about any of this in advance, but I'll yield my time. I don't,
So could you accommodate that by, instead of a long-range planning, you put it into a capital improvement fund? Because we know we're going to do a lot of capital next year
Yep,
anyway.
so that's also one of the, long-range plan, I didn't include that. We would put it into a capital improvement fund, and then that would offset some of the equipment cost in future, which then affects the tax levy in the future.
is the future next year?
No, so we'll have to
2
plan
years.
for when we can eventually not bond for equipments.
So you're talking about future bonding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, so in terms of, for this particular type of surplus, it's because of a tight labor market that we have some of these challenges. We will have these staff costs still in next year's budget. So we still have the staff that we'll need to maintain and continue to grow. So by reducing it's a future year, moving those expenses to future years, and that increase will be, if we want to continue to maintain your tax levy, it impacts how much we'd have to increase that potentially in the future years as we grow with staff.
I wouldn't favor reducing the levy. I would favor using the carryover to reduce the bonding amount that we would have to do. So it's not going to reduce the levy for next year, but as we start repaying bonds in future years, that would reduce what residents have to pay. So we're carrying forward the labor savings into debt service savings in future years.
Because next year's bond does not include any of the issuance of the bonds that we will be doing, and those are significant in terms of the impact to the financial plan and the ability to continue to staff our future growth needs.
And
But
what,
instead of saving people money next year, we're saving them money for the next 10, or however long the bonds are.
I understand that, but that should be part of
Budget,
normal
year to
budgetary
normal budget.
conversations.
Yeah, I see your point on it, but I think the difference being is that where we're seeing the surplus is because of things that were beyond our control. It's not like we
just
we
had
put
it.
something in the budget, we said we needed to raise levy because we want to pay this, and then we just decided we weren't going to do that, and we raised taxes anyway, you know? It's because there was a staffing change, and we weren't able to fill those staffing positions in that time frame.
So
Yeah.
long as it offsets I guess, existing expenditures that we've budgeted for. Like, that's all well and good. I just don't like the having,
Carry over.
I mean, ideal world, your budget would balance at the end of every year, right?
yeah,
In this case, I see Jeremy's point of applying it to future savings, so next year we don't incur the cost of X.
yeah, what would those
I
be?
mean, we can't cut checks back.
What
to
would
the
they
city.
be?
What do
What do
you
you
mean?
mean?
Offset the budget
So
in
we-
general or specific costs?
Well, things we have to levy against, so if we have to levy against debt service,
Reduce it by that much.
Yeah, oh, yeah, if it's that,
Okay,
debt service,
gotcha.
but not some future fund.
And that certainly can be something, as we do any year with the audit, looking at if there are any surplus funds, how we utilize that, so that's certainly something.
And that was my question, is what, about when do we do that?
That, this year we'll be doing that at our December meeting.
Okay.
Our first meeting in December, we'll be looking at that for the 2020, any 2021 transfers, and then we'd be doing that with the audit any given year, if we do have a surplus. Now, these are,
Preliminary
who
numbers.
knows
Yeah.
who knows what could happen in the next 3 months or something, or, you know, I think that this went through the end of October.
This one, no, this report went through end of September, so
Okay.
the numbers have
So-
changed since these numbers in the report have been generated.
So there's a potential, we just want to keep you in the loop on where we are with the overall budget, and then we can make those determinations on if there is any additional funds. We just won't have a full idea until we finish the audit.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
If it's retiring debt, I'm totally cool with that.
Makes sense. Okay, 11B, we have 2023 bond sale update. And one more item, we read.
Yes, thanks. Mayor and Council, just wanted to let you know that we spent some time with our financial advisor, and we're looking at moving back 1 month our bond sale for the 2023 bond issuance. Nothing major, it just gave us a little bit more time to get the details for the tax abatement bonds. We have to send a lot of notices out, so just giving us some time to look at that, and it aligned. Kevin and Maggie and I and Tammy sat down, and it seemed to align almost even better with the water tower, or the water supply project. And then we'll have firm numbers from Hackamore as well. So hopefully, we thought that would give us a chance to really hone in and get those numbers as near as we could get.
Any questions?
When do we lock in on the rate of our bonds?
So we would lock in when we actually, the bond sale would happen the second meeting in February, and that
Okay.
so it would be in February.
Because bond yields
I think the
Went
first
down
in
today.
February, right, or-
a reason, and a pretty,
Pretty good
there's a,
chunk.
yeah, because inflation numbers came in lower than expected. And-
Less terrible than.
Serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
So bond yields went down like in the morning quite a bit. So it's almost like just put it off. I'm glad we're putting it off.
Yeah.
That works.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank
Good
you.
deal. then we will go back to 9D, which is the Trail Haven Road Bridge replacement item that we moved. And I guess let's have a public comment opportunity in case anyone's on for it.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Anyone joining us for the discussion for Trailhaven Road Bridge replacement project can press star 9 or click raise your hand if you're joining us on an electronic device. Mayor and Council, no one is raising their hand at the moment.
Let's go into it.
Perfect. I have, Steve is going to go ahead and present for us here. Give you a quick update, and Kevin is joining us virtually as well if you have other specific questions, but Steve is well versed in this project.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight we're going to give you an update on the road closure for Trailhaven. We're requesting authorization to bid the culvert replacement. As part of that is a request to direct procure the culvert itself, as well as talk about considering that alternative for a roadway reopening, as we talked about at the last meeting. So an update on, next slide, please, thank you. Update on the road closure. So barricades were placed on October 31st. The U.S. Postal Service actually stopped mail delivery unexpected to us to the 10 residents south of the roadway closure. This was due to a policy issue within the Postal Service. The mail carriers are along the south side of Oakdale are serviced from a different mail carrier. Despite our pleas and meeting with them and talking to them, they were unwilling to change their policy, and we didn't have an avenue. So actually Public Works posted a temporary mail bank on the north side of the road closure. So it was our best alternative that we could do, at least provide a temporary mail bank to the 10 residents south of there. We tried to post it as far south as possible so they could at least drive up to the barricades and have the ability to walk north to access their mail, or they could drive around. They were also provided the opportunity to just hold their mail at the postal office if they wanted to do that, and they would have to drive to Rogers to pick it up. So we did provide notices to all of those 10 affected homeowners, and I think Ken actually went and talked to 9 of the 10 of them in person as this was happening. So tonight we're asking for authorization to actually bid the culvert replacement project. Within your council packet was the ad for bid and select pieces of a couple of plan sheets from that project. What kind of the twist on this as versus the normal projects, we're asking for the direct procurement of the culvert. So one of the issues with this culvert is the lead time on materials. Talking to several manufacturers, getting these specialty made box culverts can be 8 to 10 weeks, or some of them we're quoting up to 6 months. So we're asking the council tonight to consider direct procurement. So what that is we just buy the culvert direct and we provide it to the contractor. This doesn't sacrifice any of our funding, so this is allowed through state aid, through the bridge programs, and so we'll still be reimbursed in the same manner as before. It's just we buy it direct and try to save that time between now and authorizing bids and having contracts, so we can then have it in manufacturing during that time. So we actually did get a couple of quotes. These manufacturers have to be specialty contractors that are certified through MnDOT. This is a MnDOT certified project, so they have to have special certifications. So we have a number of them that we contacted. Wiser Concrete was a low bid at $147,735. And again, that's just the price to buy the culvert. When we actually did the project, there would be a separate cost from the contractor to unload it and install it and those sort of things. Next slide. So with that schedule, what we'd ask is tonight, if the council were to approve plan specifications and the direct procurement, we would order that culvert immediately, with bringing back the bids in December for the city council to review. With this schedule, we would target having that core culvert replaced January, February, so getting out the winter, work through those conditions, but then we don't have the quick moving. We get the culvert, the roadway can then be reopened. We do have to come back out in the spring, summer to finish the rest of the roadway. So if you remember, this roadway is being raised partially in this area to bring it up to state standards. So there will be 2 kind of construction components to this project. One to just get the minimum part of the culvert in, and then we'll come back in the spring, summer to complete the rest of the work when conditions allow. Project financials, so updated cost estimates as we've talked about along the way. A portion of this project is paid for through the state bridge funds. We'll be using state aid funds for the rest of the construction portion. The local costs that we've kind of presented in those columns, those aren't due to construction, but due to some of the time and materials spent on the temporary closure, as well as kind of the third piece we'll talk about tonight is, do we want to consider an interim solution to reopen the roadway kind of on a short-term basis between now and really that construction happening this winter. Just one more piece to highlight. A portion of those state aid funds, once we award the contract, we get a portion of those, we can request that money up front. The straight bridge bond funds are paid after, so those are reimbursed to the city. So kind of two different funding streams, but just to keep that in mind.
So we can get reimbursed for the box culvert right away?
Once we award, we'll put that request in immediately to state aid.
Okay.
So in December, if we award, once we have contracts, yes, we can put that request in right away to get.
Okay, so we're not carrying anything out of pocket?
You'll carry it from now until January.
Okay.
Would come in.
So we have to pay for the culvert up front? Did the cost of the culvert include delivery?
Yes.
Okay, to the
Deliver-
site?
To the site, to Corcoran, yep. So we have to then unload it. It doesn't include the unloading, so our contractor would take it off and install it.
You just have a guy at each end and just carry it up?
Your tractor and my tractor and,
You're done.
huh? Probably
A little heavy. Keep
how much bigger than our tractors?
I think they're
Lots.
6 feet tall by 10 feet wide, so
That's a lot of concrete.
it's a lot of concrete.
Oh, my goodness.
So that's the concrete culvert, that's kind of the replacement portion of it itself. The next slide we'll talk about the reopening alternative. So when this happened, if you remember at the last meeting, based off of the condition assessment, we had to close this bridge on a short-term basis. We talked about we may have the opportunity to open it back up on an interim. Talking to our structural engineers and kind of preliminary discussions with the state, what that would look like is bringing wooden mats out, 12 inches thick, 20-foot long mats to just bridge it on an interim basis. We'd have to bring a contractor out to install them, place gravel surfaces. We'd have some temporary traffic control to really define those edges from a safety standpoint. So we need to make sure we're following all of those things. But once we roll up all of those costs, we're looking at our estimated cost is about just short of $40,000. You see 39,405 presented on the screen. And that would be the cost to really go through that. That would allow us to open it up more soon. It wouldn't be next week. It takes some time to get it through the state, but in a couple of weeks, get it opened back up. Ahead of that, really that January, February timeline we're looking at. One thing to note, those costs would not be reimbursable, so those would be local costs, all through state aid and the bridge program. Those aren't reimbursable costs, those are things the city's doing to expedite it, so those would be local costs. So, for the city council's consideration tonight, we're asking for authorization to review the plan specification, authorize us to bid the
It
project.
has been for a
to
couple of
consider
years.
authorizing the direct procurement of the concrete culvert, and then the third one is really separate from the bidding of the project itself. Itself is considered that interim opening alternative.
I think they can.
And direct us whether we really want to move forward with that, or just leave it closed up until the construction.
Thank you. Any questions, or, John, I know you have some thoughts on this.
Yeah, did you contact Dean's office?
Not yet, but I can.
Yeah, I left him a message yesterday.
Okay, perfect. I got an email from him on something else earlier today, so I can follow up with him on it.
Yeah, we're trying to get,
The mail thing.
yeah, we've talked about it. So, right, just things to consider, I think, for the council. The expectation today is they have a bank of mailboxes on the north side of the creek, and the bridge is closed off, so people would have to park, those 10 residents would have to park down there and walk across the creek and get their mail over at, it's across the road from my driveway, basically. And the things I worry about or think about is people, if they get hurt, walking on all winter long across that bridge. And how do you maintain a path across the area, right? It's gonna snow and stuff.
And who's paying for that PR?
Yeah, and we have to pay for it. The post office, I don't wanna go, the post office was extremely difficult to deal with. And the issue is that they subcontract their routes, and the driver of our route, this is what I've been told, refuses to go around the detour and deliver on that other side of the road. And the driver won't give up that route. So we're stuck at the driver's discretion, and somehow,
Somehow it's their decision, which is baffling to me.
yeah, the postal service,
Contract employee.
the postal service does one thing, and that's deliver the mail, and they're refusing to deliver the mail.
Neither rain, nor snow, nor
Yeah.
sleet, nor dark
They
at
didn't
night.
explicitly say a partially closed road for,
Yeah, I mean, the
50 feet.
difference is they're not postal employees, they're contract employees, right? So they're paid X amount for him to drive around, and he's eating into his margin.
right, but the post office should have a method of
There's
figuring
some-
it
I
out.
know, but.
Can we offer the driver a direct bonus?
It
For the
doesn't,
duration of the project to cover the extra fuel cost and make it worth his while?
well, then,
Post office can, we're not going to.
the state closed the dang road. The post office is not delivering mail. So it's like the city is holding the bag for all that. And we're kind of like half-assed getting people an option. But if anything goes wrong, I feel like
We're liable.
we're going to be liable for that.
Somebody slips,
Absolutely.
falls,
I mean, it's, and
blizzard comes, they freeze to the.
And then there's the issue of, this is personal, but if I was a citizen, I would be over here telling you this. Both my neighbor and I have like brand-new driveways. And we limit what we can drive on our own driveway. And she and I both are gonna have
Turn around.
tons of cars on our driveways.
Right, because, yeah.
We're not supposed to have, we drive on them, people don't park on them because they're not ready, they gotta cure.
Right.
And it takes like 6 months to a year to cure. And I'm also, as a citizen and also representing my neighbor, like, what's gonna happen when our driveways get all torn up? And, so there are some things. there's
Because
some-
if you weren't on the council and that happened to you suddenly, I'd get pissed at the city and say, what's going on? And someone's gonna
Everyone's
likely
gonna
do
get
that to us.
pissed at the city for
Right.
this, and we have nothing to do with it, and we're trying to make things
Right.
better. And I feel like we're gonna look worse.
Yep.
And it's sort of like, one question sort of is like, do we even have that bank of mailboxes down there? I think it's absurd to expect people to drive a quarter of a mile to go get, or to walk a quarter of a mile
Yeah.
it's on a dirt road to get their mail for when there's mail delivery service.
Right. I just can't fathom that it's, again, down to that person and
Yeah.
themselves who can make that decision.
And we're trying to find direction, and you can only talk to one person about it, so I talked to Tom about it, but, I don't know the postmaster for our area, and we're trying to get
Yeah.
that information. But with the postal service, it's literally a federal issue, so we're trying to figure out how we do that. So if anybody on the south side of Trailhaven is listening, we're trying to find a solution, and there just isn't a good solution. And I don't know if I might, this directs me pretty fully, and I don't think I'm gonna vote on it.
Okay. That works. But I appreciate your input on it, though, because you're.
Can you have input and then abstain from the
Mhm.
vote,
Yeah.
or should I have abstained from the whole topic?
No, I think it's valuable input. I don't think there's an actual conflict, but I think if you're more comfortable abstaining from the vote, that's fine. But,
I'm fine with the early procurement. I would support the temporary mat, not because of, I would say, a tenuous possibility of somebody getting hurt, but just because I think it's a core city function to provide roadways to residents so they can get to where they need to go. I think a temporary 8 to 12-week mat meets that purpose. And I think the cost, I wouldn't want to do it every day, but when you look at 10 homes, 10 trips a day for 8 weeks, it's like $7 a trip. So it's not exorbitant. So I would support going down the temporary improvement route while we're waiting for the culvert to be installed.
Question on that, would we know that, because you said it has to get approval from the state, would we know that it gets approval before we get locked into?
Yeah, so we wouldn't have so there's a couple pieces in there, I think they would do our part first to make sure we had that report presented to the state, so they had buy-off before we had any contractor. So
Gotcha.
really the first step would be that $5,000 to have us do our part, and then if for
Gotcha.
whatever reason they denied it or wouldn't allow us to do anything, then we can come back to you and say, for these reasons.
And that's the additional engineering that you're talking about, 5,000?
You guys are more expensive than our moderator for our goals session.
Sorry, he says. If we did that temporary, I'm sorry, I'm lost. Does that mean everybody just gets normal mail delivery, or do they still have to go to this bank?
Well, unless the post office for some reason has an issue with it still, and I guess we don't have a guaranteed that that would solve it, but
The road would be open, so there wouldn't be a reason for.
you think there wouldn't be a reason already, though, but
We
yeah,
can run it, we can have that answer.
that'd be great.
How is so this mat sits on top of the gravel, or are you you dig the gravel down, put the mat on, and then put gravel back over it?
Yep, that's the area portion.
Okay, so it could be the road could be plowed for snow with our normal trucks?
Carefully, yes.
Slow down.
Okay.
Maybe leave a half inch of snow.
Have it attack.
They're ready to hit that bank of mailbox, or excuse me, the bank of mailboxes hit the snowplow. That's funny. Why don't you
But that's a
just
good point, the
deliver
snowplow
everybody's
turnaround,
mail?
that's
Have him
probably-
I
delivered
actually
to
think
yours
I
and-
would get in trouble for that.
Oh, the federal deal.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I thought about that too.
It's about as smart as that bus stop thing.
If we didn't
Sorry.
do the temporary bridge, and the road's closed, and people have to park on the south side and walk to the north to get to the mail, how are we gonna plow that?
That's
Or we
Have
wouldn't
to
plow
then start
it.
having to drive around, so.
We
Be a
just
nightmare.
wouldn't maintain it, they would have to walk through the snow.
Yeah.
Don't wanna do
Have
that.
to drive around.
You know, after a few trips, there'd be a
Like our snowmobile lacrosse.
Why don't we just put the mat in and leave not by the box culvert?
Huh?
Just do the permanent
Oh, yeah.
temporary solution.
Put a cul-de-sac there.
And they used to corduroy roads all the time.
Cul-de-sac,
Engineering didn't comment on
Cul-de-sac
that.
both sides, both ends,
cul-de-sac, yeah.
open up the creek.
So where are we thinking on, in terms of procuring the concrete now, the culvert now? We all on board with that
Yes.
aspect of it?
That makes sense.
Okay,
I can vote on that one.
okay. Yeah, we can do like a separate
Yep.
vote if you'd like. What are you wanting to abstain from on the votes?
It's on the mat,
On the temporary?
yeah.
Okay. So, looks like what, we're option,
It'd be approve the plans and specifications and authorize us to bid, and then the direct procurement, so those first two items.
okay, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any further?
All three?
Yes.
I think we're
Top
gonna
two.
do the first two to.
Sorry, yes, because we're splitting it
The
up. Yep.
first two,
So just the first two.
for-
I will make the motion. We have a second on that. A second from Dean. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and now I'll make a motion to, for item 3, the interim opening, which John is going to abstain from.
I so move.
Can I add, I'll wait till.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Any discussion?
So the mat would be going in probably somewhere January,
No, no.
Soon.
December?
Yeah, no, hopefully I'd have it before the end of December, or sorry, beginning of December, so.
And when would the box culvert possibly be going in?
end of January, February is a reasonable.
Oh, and then, okay. And the mat would be removed and they could drive over that, and then we would finish grading later on.
Yep, and the mat have to be removed to actually do the replacement.
Is there any other use
Yeah.
for it
Okay.
afterwards?
We would rent them, we wouldn't buy them.
Oh, okay.
The contractor has them, so we would just rent them on an interim basis and have them taken back.
Gotcha.
Could be a good park feature if we were buying it.
So the
Like a big
rental and
ramp.
installation is about
Old
40
bridge.
grand?
No, it was broken
I
down.
got a place for it.
It was
5,000 for the,
Swale in the spring.
20,000 was the actual rental and mat.
yep.
There's an additional cost, we're gonna have to take them out after the fact
Yeah.
for construction, so there's some incurred costs there. There's the incurred costs of us.
Okay.
To do the memo and some additional traffic control.
Gotcha. I'd assume the less amount of time we're renting it, more we'd save on that. Okay. So we had a motion and a second on approving that. Anything else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're up.
Abstain.
Yep, and an abstention, yep. Perfect. And John and I will work on the post office.
Well, anybody can work on it.
Yeah,
Obviously.
For sure.
I have I've asked to itemize our expenses. They'll get nowhere, but it's just,
it's good to have.
it's government in action. And,
Itemize and send them a bill?
yeah, it's,
Yeah.
Be a heck of an idea.
and we're all part of government. So these kind of things make everybody in the room look bad.
This one bugs me, the post office angle of it specifically. But we'll see what we can do. But I think it's good that we keep track of all that. Don't know
Maybe we
that,
should send them the bill.
I think we should. I don't know that they'll pay attention to it. Maybe
Lease them a
they'll argue it got lost in the mail, but, but it's worth a shot.
Send it certified.
Yeah. Someone has to go pick it up. Okay. I think that is everything then.
Perfect, yes.
City council schedule's busy coming up. We will not be out of here by 8:12 on Monday, the 21st.
Yes, and we do have a special meeting on November
14th.
14th at 5 PM for canvassing the election results. We do have packets here that I'll hand out for, and we'll have available at City Hall with the agenda. And
We for
then
sure have 3 people for that.
Monday
That
at
will not be there.
5?
Yep.
Monday at 5.
I will be the mayor.
Cool.
Excellent. Thank you. It should be a brief meeting unless there's a lot of discussion. There are some writing candidates and we'll have we do have some of that information
Good.
in the packet. And then, yes, we will have some busy meetings in November and December.
Congratulations on your wins, guys.
Very much so.
Are any of the write-in characters fictional?
You know, not that I can
Until they're
recall. There are
certified.
some just residents who wrote other either themselves or other folks in.
I think I wrote Michelle in for something.
She couldn't actually hold off. She'd have to choose. So. whether or
This one
not-
pays a lot worse. This one pays a lot worse.
Yeah, so that would be the challenge there. But, you know, I want to thank, since we're talking about the election, I do want to thank our
Huge thanks
staff.
to that group.
Our
Goodness.
staff and all of our volunteer election judges. It's been a huge effort. We had a lot of turnout. We always have great turnout in Corcoran, but a lot of people came out to vote early and had bigger than expected numbers during direct balloting. So just a lot of effort by the team. So and everyone, Public Works and PD, lots of people helped set up on election day and getting us ready and delivering food and thanks to the team. So great team effort and thank you all for your support.
Are you gonna go train Arizona on how to get election results within 5 days?
You know, if they wanna do that, they could pay the fee schedule and we'll go down there and tell them how to do
Yeah,
it.
$2,300
You know?
bucks a
There we go.
If I can just ask one question.
Sure.
It would be public record then and such. What does it cost for us to put on an election?
It's a bit more during,
Presidential deals,
for
but
the presidential primary, it's a bit more. It's about 16 to $18,000.
And then the voting or the machines
And
are,
the machines are owned by Hennepin County. They maintain
Okay.
them. We rent the machines. They do stay here and we're in sole possession of them, but yeah, so it depends a little with the increase in absentee voting. We did have some more election judges help just because
Yep.
you just can't keep up with the volume.
election judges were volunteer, staff
The-
wages or.
They get paid.
They get paid.
Not well, but-
I was gonna say minimum wage
Yeah.
or 50
Yep.
cents more if you're a head judge.
There you go.
And so the 16 and 18,000 that Jessica Bizey had mentioned doesn't include staff
Yeah.
time. That
Yeah,
would just
city
be,
staff time.
Which there's a lot of.
A lot of
that would
staff
just be
time.
volunteer election judges.
That's why Michelle's taking a nap hopefully right now.
Hopefully.
Well
Although
deserved
I
one.
talked to her, so I don't think she is. But.
It
very
just,
great
it's eye-opening, the cost is just crazy.
work. Yes, and that is just our, as Maggie mentioned.
Is that why you
city
want to
time
do
and then
away with
county.
elections? It's too expensive to have democracy.
That on a t-shirt.
I want a bus stop in front of City Hall, oh my God,
Thank you.
and bottom of
Thank
town.
you.
That's right. Nice job, Jess.
No, thank
And
you. It's,
team.
Yeah,
it's
for
all the team, it's always fun to get to be out on election day and see everyone. so.
All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's our record.
Well done.
Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Recording stopped.
So was there any official feedback on the bus stop idea?
It only took